If you've been eating a carnivore diet or thinking of starting one, then you've probably ran across some negative feedback, either in the form of a doctor or a friend saying, oh, don't do that, that'll kill you. Or you found some websites or some articles saying some of the following things I'm going to tell you about. I've really come across 7 dangers, and I put dangers in quotation marks because carnivore is not really dangerous, but I want to help you be able to answer these common worries and defend yourself, and also feel safe in your heart of hearts that eating a carnivore diet is not really dangerous and it's not really going to kill you. So in this video, I'm going to go over the 7 dangers that you'll hear about of a carnivore diet and why it's safe to ignore these dangers and this advice. I'm Dr. Ken Berry, a family physician with 20 years of clinical experience and over a year and a half of carnivore diet experience. And I'm going to help you understand this. Now, danger number 1 is that there's no vitamin C in meat, and you'll develop scurvy. Your teeth will fall out, your skin will fall off, etc. This is first and foremost not true. It looks like people on a carnivore diet don't need as much vitamin C as people eating a high carb diet. So if you're still eating the standard American diet, I would encourage you to get lots of vitamin C, maybe even take a supplement. There are people on the carnivore diet, and indeed prior successful cultures that for thousands of years didn't have a source of vitamin C in their diet, and they did just fine. I know many carnivores in the carnivore community who have been eating this way for over a decade, and they don't take a vitamin C supplement. They know that there is a small amount of vitamin C in fresh meat. Yeah, that's true. You can look it up. And then also in organ meats like liver, there's quite a bit of vitamin C, more than enough vitamin C to keep you from ever developing scurvy or any other disastrous complication of not having enough vitamin C. If you just can't bring yourself to eat organ meat at all, then I recommend a temporary supplement like Ancestral Supplements freeze-dried liver capsules. I've got a link down in the show notes below, but I encourage you to continue to try to learn to like liver. My wife Nisha and I, we talk about liver recipes all the time that are delicious and that'll help you enjoy liver. But you're not going to develop a vitamin C deficiency. After a year of being a carnivore, I actually checked my vitamin C level, and with no supplementation, no vegetables whatsoever, my vitamin C level was still right in the middle of normal. So however that happened, it happened, and it happens for thousands and thousands of other carnivores. Don't worry about vitamin C. Number 2 is you're not going to get any fiber in a carnivore diet. Therefore, you're going to develop severe constipation, or you'll develop colon cancer because you need fiber to scrub out your colon on a daily basis so you can have ginormous poops. Well, the problem is that the research proving that fiber prevents colon cancer is severely lacking. It's almost laughable. And I know thousands of carnivores who eat 0 fiber in their diet and they poop like champions. They have no problem with their bowel movements, and neither will you. Danger number 3 is that, you'll mess up your gut microbiome. You just won't have the cornucopia of bacteria in your gut because you're eating this very restrictive diet. You're not eating the rainbow. Here's the problem with that. I and many other carnivores have actually sent off poop samples to have our microbiome tested. And what we found is that we had more biodiversity in our gut microbiome than the average person eating a plant-based diet. So for whatever reason, my gut bacteria and the gut bacteria of tens of thousands of other carnivores love the carnivore diet, and we tend to have very diverse microbiomes. So you can mark that one off the list. Danger number 4 is that you'll eat too much salt and you'll have high blood pressure or a heart attack. So here's the weakness in that argument. Yes, carnivores get to eat as much salt as they want. They get to taste salt all their tasty meat so that it tastes perfect. And they don't worry about this. Now, when you check the average carnivore's blood pressure and you compare it to an equal person eating a plant-based diet, the carnivore diet person's blood pressure is always lower, even though they're eating what most people would consider a high-salt diet. Carnivores, many of them went carnivore so that they could get off their blood pressure medication. And indeed, they were able to, or at least decrease the dosage a significant amount because your blood pressure gets better on a high salt carnivore diet. A good friend of mine, Dr. James D. Nicolantonio, has an excellent book called The Salt Fix. I'll put a link down in the show notes. If you're afraid of salt currently, then you need to go low carb and eat more salt and read Dr. D's book. The next big danger is that you'll eat too much saturated fat, and this will cause you to have a heart attack. Again, this is they really do care about you, but they're just wrong. The entire saturated fat heart disease hypothesis is being shot down on a daily basis. More and more doctors and other healthcare providers are waking up to the fact that saturated fat doesn't have any meaningful negative effect on your heart health whatsoever. Eating saturated fat does not clog your arteries. None of that stuff is true. It may or may not raise your cholesterol, but even more and more research done by my good friends Dave Feldman and Dr. David Diamond, they're showing on a daily basis that eating healthy saturated fats in no way increases your risk of heart disease, cancer, or of dying early. People who eat lots of saturated fat typically tend to live a long time. So don't be afraid of fat. It's good for you, not bad for you. The next danger is that you'll develop some kind of phytochemical deficiency because you have to have the magical phytochemicals that are found in plants. So the argument against that would be, although they're well-meaning in saying that, they really believe that, there have been multiple successful cultures in the past that have been recorded by researchers like Weston Price and others who ate only meat in their diet. They didn't have any source of magical plant phytochemicals, and they did just fine. They had squeaky clean arteries, they had beautiful teeth, and they didn't seem to suffer in any meaningful way. I used to believe this. I used to believe that there were magical phytochemicals in plants that we didn't even understand, hadn't even discovered yet. But you had to eat lots of leafy green and colorful plants in order to get these magical, mystical phytochemicals. I no longer believe this. I have friends in the carnivore community who have not touched a plant food in over 10 years. They look great, they feel great, both mentally and physically. They're way above average. So I think this is a myth that we can start to ignore. And then the seventh danger is that if you eat a lot of processed meat in your carnivore diet, that you're going to be getting too much nitrite and nitrates, and this is going to lead to cancer. The World Health Organization said this, and therefore it must be true. I've got a couple of other videos on this channel about the nitrate myth and how you can safely ignore that. The research that proved, quote unquote, that nitrates and nitrites are bad for you and will cause cancer it's just laughable research. It's not meaningful in any way. And actually researchers now are using nitrites. They're trying to use that and get an FDA approved medication to treat high blood pressure with it because they actually help lower blood pressure. Once you look at my other video on this channel about eating bacon and processed meats and the nitrates and nitrates they contain, you'll see that this is foolishness and you can safely ignore that. So stop worrying about all 7 of these wink, wink dangers and eat your meat. A carnivore diet is part of the proper human diet spectrum that human beings can eat on and realize their optimal physical and mental health. If you enjoyed this video and you breathe a sigh of relief, knowing you're not going to die from your carnivore diet, then please consider clicking that subscribe button and the little bell button right beside it. And that way you'll get a notification and be able to enjoy the 2 or 3 new videos I post on this channel each and every week. This is Dr. Berry. I'll see you next time.